Alright, so welcome to a new video. Today we are going to write the code, backend code of our chat application, which is MERN+AI plus AI based chat application. The code will be written in Express plus Node.js, the backend part. The front end will be written using Vite React, Tailwind, and Daisy UI, and the database will be handled using MongoDB. And what today's target will be, we are going to set up the backend and front end, and we will complete the backend's authentication part, and we'll see what we can do in the further process. If there is more time, we'll cover the rest of the part of the backend also. So without wasting any time, let's jump right into it. We'll create a we'll open up our VS Code, and in this we'll clean up everything, right? And let's start from the beginning. We'll be having two folders. First will be client, which will be the front end, and not inside, but along with it, we'll be having a server file, which will be the backend. So let's include the backend. We are going to have an index.js file, and now let's initialize npm project in it inside the server. First, we are going to write the backend. That's why npm init and -y for everything. Some of this is some of the packages that we're going to install. Let's install it. Install, for example, Express, NodeMon, and Mongoose, course, cookies, cookie parser, basically for managing the cookies, and bcrypt.js, or not bcrypt.js. I'll show you why we use it in the upcoming code. I hope my code is visible. Yeah, let's install all of this. Let's wait for 10 to 15 or 20 seconds, and we have an error. We have not written correct spelling for Mongoose. Hopefully now it will work. Yep, we have it. Inside the package.json, you can see all the dependencies have been added. Now let's see how we can create the server and initialize it. First, we have to change the import way the files gets imported. Initially, it's CommonJS. We have to change it into modules, so that instead of const, like const express equals require express, we can use import statements. Import express, or e from express, I guess. Yeah, change it. We have to use this to create the server. For example, const app equals express, right? And let's run this. For example, app.listen on port, suppose 3000, just for now. And for that, what we are going to do is we'll run a function that console logs server is running on port 3000. Let's see if it works. Node server.js. Okay, it's not able to Oh, sorry, we have index.js. Index.js, and it is running. We have to make a custom port. So let's const port. Let's use 8000 for now, and here we'll pass port. Right. Let's see if it works. Yeah, it is working. And instead of directly running using Node, we need to run it using NodeMon. And in order for us to run using NodeMon, we have to make changes in the script. How? Like, just a minute. We have to write it like run, or we have to run, for example, let's do it dev only. So what we'll do is NodeMon index.js. If we run dev, this code will run. And how we can do it? For example, npm run dev. We're using dev, that's why. Let's see. Yep, it's working. So we have set up our server. Now what we have to do is we are going to create some more folders for more models, which will be explained using MongoDB. After that, we'll be having controllers, which will contain the main code for authentication, which we are going to do today. And models, views are front end, controllers, and routes. So before running this, what we have to do is we have to run app.listen, not listen, app.use. Basically, what we have to use first, URLs. First part of the URL will be imported, like written here, for example, /API, and /API will be having /API/auth, right? This will contain auth routes. Now, what is auth routes? We'll define it right now. Let's define the auth routes. In the server, we'll have a file folder named routes, and in the routes, we'll be having auth.routes.js. This is a like way to define, like if we define controllers, we'll use auth.controller.js. This is a common nomenclature you can use. Inside routes, auth.routes, what you can do is you can again call out express, right? And after that, router, we need to call it router, or name it auth router, routes, whatever, equals express dot router. Let's use the get, post, all of those methods here instead of directly. You could have used those authentication like app.get and define it here only, but it would have made code a bit cluttered. Instead of using it directly here, we should separate every files according to their workings. That's why we have created auth.routes. And auth.routes, what we have to do, auth routes dot post, and here we'll be passing two values, right? In the first value, we are going to pass the second part of the URL. First part was here, right? /API/auth. Suppose your URL is, obviously it is going to be like this only, localhost colon 8000, right, /API/ auth slash sign up. For the backend, this will be the port or the whole a URL running locally, http not s colon slash slash. This will be the code, right? So the first part, which is API slash auth, will be presented here. The second part, which is slash sign up, will be given to auth routes slash sign up. And on behalf of this sign up, this controller will run. For example, if you console log it here only, like sign up controller running, and if we use npm run dev to run the node.mon server, run dev, we have one issue, auth routes. We haven't imported it, that's why. Okay, let's import auth routes. I think, yeah, import auth routes from routes.js, and it is not like this. Yeah, routes.js. We haven't exported, I guess. Yeah, we haven't export default. If you give it default now, what happens is whatever name you call it inside the file in which you are importing, regardless of the name, if you are importing it from that file, that particular variable will get imported regardless of the name. For example, auth routes, we are passing this value, and why it still does not provide an export name auth routes. Wait. Okay. Yeah, got it. So actually, since we are calling out this name, we are using default. So regardless of the name that you are passing, like if you're calling out as auth routes or something, some other names also, if you're calling out that variable here auth routes, use from that exact file which is auth routes, then regardless of the name that you are calling it from, it will still pass this value only if default is there. So if I called out simply routes auth instead of auth routes and used it here, it would still work. As you can see, we are not being shown any error. So regardless of the name, you can call out any name here. You don't even have to use as, like for example, many people do is auth route, change the name here directly as input auth. You could have changed the name, but that's not the point of concern here. You can directly use it because we are using default here. So I hope I'm clear up until now. And yeah, since we are console logging it, and you might ask why it is not being shown, because we haven't mm, we haven't got, like we haven't gone to this URL right now. For example, if I open up any browser, for example, just a minute. For example, I have a browser, and if I go into localhost 8000 slash API slash auth slash sign up, right? So regardless of, okay, we haven't given get request, we are calling up post request. I hope it will work now. Yep, we called out get so as to run this, and as you can see, as soon as we called out on this URL in the backend, this console log was shown, that is sign up controller running. Now you have to use this function instead of writing this function here. you have to define this function somewhere else, like in a separate file. How you can do it? First, stop this for unwanted errors can be shown. And instead of writing the function controller function here, what you have to do is you have to call a different like call the that variable from a different file. You have to create that file here only, and the name of the file will be here inside the server. Sorry, will be controllers. We are going to use auth.controllers.js, right? Now, I haven't told you why we are using auth, right? Auth is for login, sign up, logout, and passing the cookies, etc. This thing, um, my first approach always is to start from the backend. Whenever creating a full stack application, start from the backend, create login, sign up, and for the authentication part, then go to the main user controls. For example, sending message, receiving message, or creating new users. Everything creating new users will be done in the sign up part only. As we sign up, we create a new user. I'll show you. So inside the auth controllers, what we have to do is we have to create a new controller. For example, export const control auth not sign up. This will be the controller, right? And this will get to three values: request, response, and next. Also, next is not needed here. I'll tell you in a specific case when we are creating cookies, next will be used, or in while checking out whether the user is logged in, then we'll use next function. It is not required now, so let's move it without understanding it. And when it comes, I'll tell you how we can use it. So first what we have to do is we have to use this sign up inside routes. Here, sign up. Now since we are not using default, instead of default we are directly exporting the const function, so we have to pass it. We have a strict uh, constraint now that we have to pass it using that exact name. We cannot follow the rules which was shown in default functionalities. Okay, so now what we have to do is inside this controllers we need to have some values. So when we call out sign up, right, from the front end, when the user tries to sign up, what happens is he passes some values. For example, he passes their username, he passes their email address, then password. These are the three basic constraints that are being passed in every sign up functionality. Sign up means getting created, right? Creating a user. So those values we are going to take inside the backend from the front end, right? So thinking of it as the front end is giving the data in the request. This request contains all the front end data, right? So suppose when we are signing up, user will pass username, email, and password. These three values will be present in the request uh, variable, which we got from front end. How we are going to extract it? We are going to extract it like this. Will be username, email, password, and it will be inside request.body. If you console log request, you'll see all the details will be there. So request.body contains all the values and variable that we get from front end. Now, instead of username, let's call it full name, right? And then use username also. Let's keep all four of these things. And before moving forward, we will use try catch block. Try catch block is famous in this in backend. Like whenever you start writing code, for every controller function you have to use try catch, and in front end it is not that necessary since we are using like tank stack now, so it handles everything. Let's see the backend part first. So what we have to do is we have to check whether the user has passed all these values or not. So initial check will be if we didn't got the full name, or if we didn't got the username, or if we didn't got the email, right, or we didn't got the password. We'll directly return it from here with an error message also, not just randomly. What we are going to do is return, and how we are going to return, the return value will be returned in the response function. So this is one important part. The request gives all the data, gets all the data from the front end, right, and the response transfers all the data from the back end. The response request comes from the front end, response goes from the back end. That's how it works. So since we are passing an error message from the back end because the values were not enough, we will pass it in the form of response. How? Like this: return response, which is res dot with a status of 400. There are multiple status codes, like 200 is a successful one, 400 is error, and internal server error, with and with the message that we are going to pass in the form of JSON file, with message as key, and the value will be internal. So let's capital server error. Let's keep it capital. And since we are returning it, let's first console log the error also. Error in the signup controller. And what would be the error? Error. This will be console logged in the backend when the details are not fetched properly. And in the front end, this will be shown like res.status of 400, and there is some issues in the sign up controller. And yeah, I haven't told you, this was for the catch block, right? This is not for the errors which came in the full name and username, all of these. Like you can directly return also, but I would say to write some details also, like we cannot just res dot status of like 400 dot json, like message, let's pass message like please enter all the credentials properly. I guess this will make sense. This will be the return value. We cannot, let's not leave it directly only return. So before moving forward, this return and this return are different. They are, I hope you understood this. If the try block fails, we'll directly get into catch, will catch the error, and if full name, username, email, or password has not been entered, this error will be thrown, right? So if we have all this and we successfully passed these values, we'll move forward and we'll be having the further check. For example, what we can do is, if let's have a constraint for password, which is password dot length should be greater than 5, right? It should be minimum of 6, else we'll call out same way the error, and the error will be message will be password length must be greater than like 5 characters. I hope it's clear up until now. Password was checked. Let's check the email. So how we can check email? We have a string. Let's go to the chat GPT to show you how we can get that. Chat GPT, right? Give me the check for email in React app only code. Like, this is not the best prompt, I would say, but we got this. This is what we wanted. So this is the regex value actually. um, let's put it above because we are going to need it in other values like login. Also, when we are going to log in, we'll pass an email and check it, so we need in regex for that also. And how it does, what it does is it uses dot test value just to check that this email contains all the constraint, or it fulfills all the constraint, like the structure of email is being fulfilled or not. So how we're going to check, like this const email valid, this will be a value, and email regex dot test the email which we passed through request body, and it will check. If it is not valid, what we'll do is we will call out directly that email is not valid. Right now, so all the constraints are been added. Now let's create the user. Like, the email validation is done, password is done, and if all the like values have been fulfilled or not. Now let's add the user. Like, we are going to create a user, but before creating a user, actually we need a schema diagram for creating a user, right? And that schema diagram will be created using MongoDB. So let's write the schema for that. Let's create the model, not in model, right? And the models will be having users dot model dot js, right? So in this, what we are going to do is we'll create the structure of how users values will be there. For example, user will be having full name, where it is, um, controllers, right? Yeah, user is going to have full name, username. All these structure or schema which is there should be uh, detailed in a detailed way. It should be written in the schema diagram so that it can be saved inside our MongoDB cluster or the collection that we are going to create. Before going to create the cluster or collection, I would create the schema for it first. So let's start the writing the schema. Inside this, first we'll import the Mongoose which we have already installed in the beginning. Now let's create user schema, right? schema, that's correct spelling. We'll create the instance, sorry, not mongoose instance, and we'll pass on schema. Inside this, we'll have the structure of how we're going to create. For example, we'll be having, just a minute. Yeah, we'll have full name, right? It will contain the types, what will be the types? It will be of type, not type of, but type of string, right? And next will be is it required or not? Yes, true. And then it will be having, will trim it if any extra, like someone has added extra space or something like that. Or no, let's not do it because full name will have these values. Let's avoid trimming for now. Email, yes, it will also be type of string. Required will be true, and it should be in lowercase, I guess. Yeah, true. After that, yeah, that's it. That's more than enough. Now what we have is password. Username we have forgotten. It will be same as full name. It's not an issue. Username, full name, email, password. Password type will be string, required true, and it is going to be unique, right? Min length, just add minimum length of, or we are having a constraint, right? So let's not use min length. um Unique, I guess there is a value of unique also in it. We'll see it. Well, or we can do is we can directly check it in the controllers. We don't have to add unique. Okay, so apart from these things now, we need to add timestamp also. Timestamp will give the time when any instance of it gets created. For example, when we are getting into it as a new user, and when we signed in successfully, means our new user will be created, and that time at which the user was created, that value of time will be saved inside this whole thing. This schema has been created. Now we are going to create the model of it. User of mongoose dot model, and we have to pass a singular value here with the name, and this was user schema, yeah. So we have to pass a singular value here, and when you'll see the MongoDB cluster, you'll see that the values that are being saved will be having a root or the base variable named with a plural values, plural or whatever it is. So since we have user, it will be saved with the name of users, like this. I'll show you. So we'll export it, user. And before moving forward, let's create this in the MongoDB directly. What I would ask you to do is, um, what I would ask you to do is just create the, like, we have to connect the MongoDB first. And in order for you to connect your MongoDB, what you need to do is you need to create a like you need to sign up in the MongoDB uh, site. Like, go to the MongoDB site. Let's go into it together, right? Yeah. In this, you have to go into MongoDB. Go into MongoDB, and I think there is an issue. Yeah, I I need to clear cookies. That's why it's causing that error. What you need to do is you need to create a MongoDB cluster. Just uh, yeah, you need to create a MongoDB cluster, And in order for you to do that, you just need to sign in, go to the cluster and create a new cluster. You'll get I'll show you, wait. Inside the cluster, when you'll create a cluster. You'll have this and you'll create a cluster. One button will come, and when you create a cluster, there will be like here you can directly create a free version of a cluster, and you'll get browse collections. Yeah, you'll get like basically the MongoDB URI, right, which you need to copy. If you go to the quick start, you'll when you create any user na, you'll create a user with the username and the password which is hidden here. And when you create this user, you need to copy it and paste it directly inside your mongo .env file. And for example, I have my MongoDB cluster. Yeah, when you connect, when you click on connect, you'll have a driver, right? And you'll have this MongoDB URI. You'll copy this and you'll directly go into this on your file of server, right? And you'll click on create a new file name .env, and inside this you'll paste the name as MongoDB URI as string, right? And now what you have to do is you have to pass your username, which I showed you right now, and the password which you have entered. I'll enter my password right now. Okay, now I have added my password and the URL. Now we have to use that URL inside our index, and what we have to do is we have to use mongoose dot connect, and we have to pass, sorry, we have to pass process dot env dot mongodb, sorry, db uri. I think I am clear up until now. Let's see. As soon as we get connected, right, what we have to do is we'll call out .den function, and inside this we'll say that database connection established, right? Now we have to call app.lesson directly, right? And now let's see what we can do. um okay, we have an error here. Let's try to run it again. I don't think it will solve anything. So we are running and we have an error that this value is undefined. So in order to define it, what we have to do is we have to use .env. I think we have installed .env. No, we haven't. Okay, well, we need to install .env in order to avoid this error. Npm install .env. Okay, so import dot config.env, and we'll run this function right after in calling it. I think it will solve it now. Npm run dev. Yeah. So our connection is established with the database, and now we can start writing our code, since we have written our model also. So in order for us to write this, let's write it here only. Yeah, let's call the controllers. Let's, we have checked everything. Now we will create our Let's create our new user. Const new user equals, will create using await, and in order for us to write await, we'll use async await user. Basically the user we exported, right? And it's not auto important. Yeah, it is auto importing .js. Let's close this for now, otherwise it will unwantedly run. Now await user dot find find one, and what we are going to find is, we are going to find the common one with the common email. If someone has this email already, it means the user already exists with this email, and it means if the new user already exists, will return this error with the changed message, which is user with this email already exists. If not, then we are going to create this user. New user dot new user. Wait, if user already exists, then return, else just create it. So we already created, and we have to save it now. Await new user dot save. Save method is not there. Don't know why, but it should be. Okay, after saving, what we are going to, let me check our docs once again, because I think it's wrong. Obviously, like, we haven't created the user, right? We have just checked whether this user is there or not. So let's create one. New user, let's name it user. New user, and we'll check the user only if it is there or not, and if it is not there, then we'll create a new user. Because await, either we can do using await or new method only. We'll create an instance of user, and we'll pass all the values like full name, username, email, password. These values will be passed, and then we'll await new user dot, yeah, we have the save now. So that was the issues, like we were not creating their user, and we're directly saving it, so it's quite obvious issue. So after saving, we'll call out, like we have to report to the front end also that the user has been created. So we will call out res.status of 200. 200 is success dot json with all these values: full name, um, user, sorry, username, email, password. Since the key value pairs will be same, that's why I haven't added keys for separate values. And yeah, we will be having some changes here also. It's not the final code. We have to pass restart status also, right? Okay, let's try to run it and test it on our postman, if it gets created or not. If you haven't installed postman, I would recommend you to install the desktop version. We have the postman here. I hope it is visible. There are some of the requests already created. I'll create a new request. Suppose I create it here only. Add request with the name of sign up. Okay. And what would be the URL? The URL would be this part. Wait, URL will be, if you go to index, the first part of the URL will be this. It means localhost slash http localhost slash 8000 slash API slash auth slash sign up. So let's write it here only. Mm, http localhost, suppose this, and port of 8000 API auth sign up, right? And it's a post request because we are passing some data. And what data we are passing? We are going to pass an object containing these values. Like, wait, let me keep it side by side so it will be much better. Yeah, here we have in the controllers we are getting from front end these values. So considering the postman as the front end for testing purpose, what we are going to pass these values so that backend can get these values. Full name as, suppose, Rohan. Next, full name, let's add something more also, Rohan Pandey. Next will be username of Rohan123. Then we have email of test@test.com. Next we have password, let's input as test. Or let's check the constraints first before completely checking if it is working or not. Let's check the constraints. Suppose if one of the values is not given, like username we have not given, right? Let's send post request and check if it is passing this message or not. This one, send, and we have it. Please enter all the credentials properly because one of it is missing. Which one? Username. And if any of it is missing, we'll give this message in the front end, like please enter the credentials properly. Suppose we pass the password length is as test, which is less than 5 characters. So let's pass this only. Now we have a constraint of password which is less than 5 characters. Let's hope it works. Yep, same, not same, but this. Similarly, if you check that the format of email is not correct, like test.com, it's more of a URL than email format, and check, it will say that password length is, yeah, password is already less. That's why 1 2 3 4, yeah, it is more than 5 characters now. So this issue will cause email validity. Let's check. Yep, email is not valid. So test@test.com, this is the correct format of passing email. If everything is working properly, our user will get created in MongoDB. Let's see. Okay, we already have it because I was testing. User with this email is already there. Let's make it this. So we got one more test checked, that if username is already there, find one. I'll show you it's already there or not. Let's create one right in front of you, and we have it. So the test got created. Let's see to the MongoDB database. um, Not this one. Yep, MongoDB, and sign in. Okay, I have to sign in again. So we are signed in, and we'll go to the database. we have to connect first. Okay, it's already connected, so we don't have to connect it. um, yeah, browse collections. Yeah, so users, if you go to users, not this one actually, in the test we have users. um, let's go into the users, because the schema which we have created is named user, which I told previously. So you can see we have two values created. Right now I created this Rohan Pandey with name Rohan123 and test password as test1234. Previously I created the name with Rohan Pandey only, with the email address of test@test.com. That's why it was not taking. So I hope it is clear. It's working. Now we have to write, um, just a minute. Yeah, we have to write the one more thing. I have to add a constraint here actually. When you save a password or something, actually you don't have to display the password when the user gets created, right? So it's better not to pass it here. um, Instead, direct only show user full name, username and email. And one more thing, when we are saving any password, if someone has the access to this database, they can directly check that the password is this. So you should not pass the password directly like this. Instead, what you should do is you should encrypt your password, and then you can save it. For example, if I have any, I'll show you. For example, here one of the password is, okay, here also the same. No, see, this format of password, it is really hard to recognize or decode. So in order for you to save your password so that no one can use it if they have access to your database, you should encrypt your password. So the password might have been test1234, but it has been encrypted in this format, like dollar, if it is visible to you, dollar, 2a, $10, dollar emp, capital ps, like this. So this is the correct format. And how you can encrypt your password before saving it, you should use bcrypt.js, and I'll show you what how you can use bcrypt.js. Just a minute. um, yeah, here, before passing the data, like everything is done, and before creating the data you have to create a password, like encrypt the password. So let's encrypt the password here only. How we are going to encrypt the password, I'll show you. Just a minute. Let's create a variable named hashed password, right? And hashed password will get like bcrypt. I think I have installed it, right? Yeah, we have it, bcrypt. Let's import. Let's see if it works or not. Bcrypt dot hash, and inside will pass the password, and it takes one more value, actually hash value, like not hash, sorry, salt value. So we have to create a salt also. um, let's understand how to create salt. Salt equals wait bcrypt dot gen salt, and will salt length of 10. So salt is added in bit, like front and back of the password which you have given, like test123. It will add some salt, or mean some extra characters in front of it and extra characters in last of it. So the length of those characters will be 10, and I'll pass it here only, and this salt will be transferred to create the hash password. This is also a wait function. Okay, after that we will use this hash password to transfer it here instead of using hashed password, right? So let's check it in the this one. Okay, I'll create a new user with name like anything Shubham, and username will be Shubh, and test new test, right? And password is this only, test1234. Let's see what it becomes in the database. There's some error. Wait, let me check. Password, hash password. Okay, sorry, you have to pass, like the key value pairs are different now, because here we have password as this and other key value pairs are same. So I hope it will work now. The server is running, let's check it again. Yeah, where is it? Yeah, okay, let's try to run it again, and it is created. Let's go to the, yeah, and refresh it. Just go to test users, because here it is stored, and we have a new user with name Shubham, and you can see the password has been hashed. You cannot directly understand what it is, right? So anyone who has this database access also, they cannot understand what password is it. The password was test1234, as you know already, but that is how it's done. So sign up is complete. Let's try the login for this. Login is pretty straightforward, like it's not that difficult. Let's stop it for now, right? And let's write the login equals async request response. Hey, I think I missed something? I don't think so. um no, I haven't missed something. If I do let me know. Okay, let's go to export const. Now we have when someone wants to log in, they just need to provide their email and password, because we have kept email only that as unique, right? If you go to, yeah, that's that, you know that already. Model inside the email is type string, and unique true. I'll have to check if this is the correct format or not, but let's move forward for now. All right, try catch, or wait, let's import a const what it is, email and password from the front end, equals request.body, right? Now we have try catch block. So a general approach, which is the general approach is whenever you are using any promises, like not promises, like we are using async await here, so we should use try catch block, because it is a healthy approach, so as to catch any errors while asynchronous function gets triggered. So we have to validate this email which has been transferred first, so we'll use this regex only dot test email const email valid equals email regex dot test what test email, and if email is not valid, then we'll return this function. Email is not valid. Now, what happens in login is we have to first check whether the email which has been passed is there or not. And unlike in sign up, if we get someone who is there, it means it is a success. It means the user has already been created previously and now that user wants to log in. So we will, what we are going to do is we are going to check, right? Const user equals await user dot find one, right? And in this we'll pass this email. I hope it's clear up until now. If we didn't get any user, it means no one has signed, no user of this email id has been signed yet. And we will say, let's write it here only, return res dot status of 400 and JSON of message that like unauthorized authorized user, no user um, available, avail able, no user with this email available. Yeah, makes more sense. And next what we have to do, like if it exists, then we are going to return like rest dot status of doso dot json with a like message that the email wait, you have found that user, right? So yeah, email as this email only, user dot email, password we are not going to give, username with the username, yeah, I mean user dot username, email username, and what else, we haven't checked the password actually, so we have to check the password also. Okay, wait, let me write this. um Wait, so how we are going to check the password, right? What we are going to do is we are going to check the password as, since we have already given the password right here. Okay, so we have passed the password here and we have to check it. If user dot password is not equal to the password provided, we'll simply say that return incorrect password, restore status of 400 and messages invalid password, invalid password, please enter the correct password, right? And now let's see if this works. If password is correct, then we'll go simply to the like giving the datas, username, email, full name as user dot full name, and anything else I don't think so, there are 4 values, full name, email, yeah, this is all it will take. Sorry, here we have to I was writing it here, there, yeah, return res dot status of 200 and JSON of this, right? I think it's clear. I mean, this is what we had to do. Let's test it inside our postman, and we are going to do is, let's create a different one. Let's use this only. We'll have the name login, and it will be also post http localhost 8000 API auth login. And one more thing, I think we haven't initialized this function which we wrote right now in the routes. See, we have only sign up. So let's add the login also, and what it will have, this function login from controllers. I think it's clear. So the base URL for both of them will be same, which is here API/auth. For the login, we have this API where it is login, and for sign up, it will be changed. Let's check in the Postman. We have this body. Let's uh, pass some body. Wait, yeah, raw data of email and password. Email of which was previously. Suppose we are passing a random email, random@test.com, and password will be 12345, right? Send. Okay, what was the issue? um, oh, server is closed, sorry. Now server is running. Now we'll go to this. Let's test it again. So yeah, there is no user like this, right? That's why no user. Now let's pass the actual data which is there in the database. We have database username of this and test 1234. Let's pass test@gmail.com. Test@gmail.com, and password, let's pass incorrect password. Let's see. Yep, password is invalid. What was the password? Let's see, and then pass. Password is test1234. Okay, let's pass test1234. Yeah, we are logged in. Okay, but one thing, the password would not have been saved like this, right? This was just for testing. We saved the password, would have been saved like this. I just realized. So we have to decrypt the password first, the password which is there in the mm, database. Let's see how we can decrypt it. Let's go to chat GPT and check how we can decrypt it. Yeah, chat GPT, how to decrypt cr wipe decrypt the password in Node.js Express backend using bcrypt.js for login purpose. Only code, only provide code, nothing else. Okay, so we have hashed form this, right, which we'll get, and the user password. We have to compare simply. Okay, it's quite simple now. So let's keep it on one side and let's write it on the another side. Okay, so what we have to do is, we'll find one. If we found one, we'll do, what we are going to do is await bcrypt dot compare, and we are going to pass two things: password, which we have passed from the front end, and the hashed form from DB database. So from the hashed form, how we are going to get? We are going to get it through const hashed password equals await user dot password, right? We don't need this. Cool, makes sense because we have already got it. Hashed password. We have to compare this, and what it says is, wait, yeah, what it says is, according to this, we'll have a function which will have two values: error if no matching and is match. Okay, cool. And we don't need a wait here. If error, if error, right, will throw the error, else, sorry, not else, if is match, login successful. And instead of login successful, what we have to do, okay, instead of error, what we have to do is invalid password, and remove this, right? And if is match, what we have to do, we'll do this and remove this. Wait, something else has been removed. No, something else was left. Okay, so if is match, we'll do this, else we'll do this. Let's test it now. Okay, hope it works. Test1234 was the base password for the previous one also, if I remember correctly. For this also, Shubham, this password was test123. Let's pass that value first just to check. Sorry. Oh man. Yeah. So the email is new test at the rate gmail.com, whatever. Right. And the test is test1234. Let's try to, like, let me first add something else, like random, and check. I think there is some error. No, then why? Let me check what error we have. Now this was previous value, so does it pass something? Let me check. That's chat GPT. Wait. I think I remember something. Const comparison, right? This await bcrypt.compare. Bcrypt.compare takes two values and promises, right? So we have to use await. And what we are going to do is, if no comparison, I mean comparison is false, I think it passes true or false value. So we'll return this, right? And else what we'll return is this. Let's remove this. I hope it's reasonable. Let's check it. Yeah, it is working. Like, not completely sure, but for the wrong password it gave it. So previously what we had, test1234. Let's, yeah, it is working. I thought it wouldn't work. Okay, all right. So we have written the login, and sign up functionality correctly. And I hope this was clear up until now. And what we are going to do in further process will be, we'll create a middleware also, so that if someone is logged in, then only some functionality will be displayed. For example, the list of users and everything, those things can be only displayed to someone who is logged in, not to everyone. For that you need a middleware. And how you can add middleware, I'll show you right now. Just a small thing it is. For example, in the use app.use, if it is visible to you, in the app.use, what we do is we pass two things. First is the uh, url, second is the routes out, routes auth, sorry. And if I pass something in between, like a function, what will happen is, for this url, this function will run first, this middleware, it is called middleware, something in middle. And if at the last of this function, suppose this function created like this, const middleware, let me stop this for now, middleware, right? And we have request response and next. So response, you know what it does, right? Like the request is from the front end and the back end, all of these stuff is handled by request and response. What next is doing is, you'll have some functionalities which we did in the controllers, like this only, all these functionalities. And in the end, if this function is successful, then we'll say that you can move forward to this function. How we can say? We'll call out next function here only. This function will be called here. It means run the next function, which is this one. Right next to it is this function. So by saying function as next, we are saying that you should run next function as this function is successful. So where we are going to add this middleware? We are going to add this middleware in the routes for the sign up and login. Whenever any user comes and enters into this our chat application, will check if the user is already logged in or not using the middleware here only. And if it is he is logged in, we'll call out the next function inside this middleware, so that the next function will run, which is login. I mean, you get the point. The next functionality will run, and that is done through middleware. Not exactly, I wasn't exactly clear how we are going to use it, but I'll show you in the next video. When I write the code, it will be very much clear of how we are going to use it, so you don't have to worry about it. Only understand what we have done up until here. And I hope you liked the video and found it informative. If you do, make sure to like and subscribe. And yeah, follow for more. See you in the next one. Thank you.